I'm Alex Dykes, and this isn't just a pickup truck. This is the biggest thing to happen to the half-ton pickup truck market in living memory, because this is the 2014 Ram 1500 EcoDiesel, the only half-ton diesel pickup truck sold in America. On the outside, it looks just like any other Ram pickup truck. We have the same big rig styling that Ram has been known for since 1994. 2014 brings us a slightly massaged front end with new headlamps, a new grille. It's now leaning slightly forward, just like all the other Dodge and Ram products. We have a nice chrome bumper down here. It is a metal chrome bumper this year, and we have parking sensors integrated into that front bumper as an option package for 2014. It's the same story out back. We still have dual chrome exhaust tips back here, just like you get with the V8. We have a chrome bumper with optional parking sensors back here. Our particular model does have them. We have a 2-inch trailer receiver, which we'll talk about in a little bit, with a 4-pin and a 7-pin wiring harness right there. One thing to keep in mind is that unlike Toyota and General Motors pickup trucks for 2014, we have a standard tailgate here. So the Toyota and the GM pickup trucks use a spring assist system to make it easier to open and close the tailgate. We don't have that in the Ram 1500 pickup truck, but we do have a nice high-mounted backup camera right here that lets you view the trailer and the connection right there, so you can more easily line up your trailer if you're backing up into that trailer receiver. One thing to note is that there's also an optional bed cam that can be mounted up there by the third stoplight that looks down into the bed, and you can also get that at the same time as you get the backup camera. Parked next to it, the only way that you'd know this is the diesel 1500 model is this logo right here that says EcoDiesel right on the front fender. It's now time to take a look at the reason why we're watching this video. It is this 3-liter V6 turbo diesel engine. You could say this is the Cadillac of V6 diesel engines because this was originally designed by Via Motori of Italy for the European market Cadillac CTS. However, when the world market went into the toilet in 2008, all those plans were scrapped and it just sort of sat on the shelf for a while. Because Via Motori is half owned by General Motors as well as Fiat, and of course Chrysler is now in bed with Fiat, now we have access to this 3-liter turbo diesel engine. And because it didn't have any other uses, they jammed it inside the pickup truck as well as the Grand Cherokee. That means this engine has a very interesting pedigree. It also means it's awfully smooth. We'll take off the cover so you can see why the engine is so smooth. Not only do we have a decent amount of sound insulation right on this cover, but you can see there's an incredible amount of foam coating the top of this engine. You can remove these additional foam blocks and get a little bit more diesel engine sound out of this engine, something that I would probably do if I bought this engine, because half of the reason to own a diesel is just because of the way it sounds for me. This turbo diesel engine produces some impressive power numbers. We're talking 240 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque at 2,000 RPM. Compared with the gasoline lineup in the 1500, it beats all the torque numbers down the line. The 3.6-liter gasoline V6 is good for 305 horsepower, but only 269 pound-feet of torque, where the 5.7-liter Hemi engine beats this in horsepower at 395 as well, but it does come in short at 410 pound-feet of torque, and it delivers that torque higher than 2,000 RPM. In fact, when you compare this to other half-ton pickup trucks out on the market, only GM's brand new 6.2-liter V8 beats this in the torque department with 434 pound-feet of torque. But now we have to talk about transmissions, because that's also big news for 2014. This 3-liter turbo diesel is mated to a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, meaning it has 2 more speeds than either the Ford or the GM pickup trucks out there on the market. That's a big deal when you're talking about a diesel engine, because diesels don't rev terribly high and they produce their power in a more narrow power band than a lot of gasoline engines. So that 8-speed automatic transmission really maximizes the drivability of this engine. Possibly more impressive than the power figures is the price tag on this diesel engine. $4,000 more than the base V6 engine for almost twice the torque is not a half-bad value. This engine costs $2,850 more than the Hemi V8, but it will pay you back in terms of fuel economy, which we'll talk about later. Well, the gasoline Ram 1500 comes in 11 different trim levels. The diesel's only available in 6 of those: the Tradesman, the SLT, the Outdoorsman, the Bighorn, the Laramie, and the Laramie Longhorn. It is still available with 3 different cabs as well as 3 different beds, and the version you're looking at right here is the biggest cab and the shortest bed that's available with this big cab. Chrysler has yet to release official payload numbers for the EcoDiesel 1500, but it is only 50 pounds heavier than a similarly equipped 5.7-liter V8, so we expect those to be fairly close. I estimate about 1,700 pounds. One thing to keep in mind is that all of General Motors' new 1500 pickup trucks have class-leading payload numbers, so you can stuff a few hundred pounds more in the bed of your Chevy Silverado than you could in this Ram 1500. When it comes to towing, the EcoDiesel splits the difference between the 3.6-liter V6 engine and the 5.7-liter Hemi, ringing at 9,200 pounds for this engine versus 10,450 for the Hemi. If you want to tow an awful lot and you want a 1500 series pickup truck, then you're going to have to go to GM because they do have class-leading towing there. But one important thing to keep in mind is that in most states, if you're going to tow over 10,000 pounds, you need a commercial driver's license anyway, so I think that you'd probably be just fine with this EcoDiesel. Front seat comfort is excellent in our Laramie model. We do have the 10-way power adjustable driver's seat as well as power front passenger seat. The seat does offer a 2-way adjustable lumbar support as well as 2-position memory in our trim level of 1500. One thing to keep in mind is that while we do have power adjustable pedals, the steering wheel only tilts. It does not telescope, which is somewhat different than the new GM pickup trucks which tilt and telescope, so it is a little bit easier to find an ideal driving position in that GM pickup truck, especially if you like to sit particularly close or particularly far away from the steering wheel. We're in the largest cab available in the Ram 1500, and these back seats are very comfortable. They don't recline, so that is one thing to keep in mind, and these seat bottom cushions are a little bit closer to the floor than you'll find in the GM pickup trucks, so it's a little bit more comfortable for children, but a little bit less comfortable for adults. This front seat's adjusted for me at 6 feet tall, and as you can see I have about 6 inches of legroom left back there. I also have about 3 inches of headroom left. Our particular model does not have the optional sunroof. Moving over to the middle seat, we do have a slightly pronounced hump right here in the middle, which does mean I get a little bit less legroom. I have to have my knees sort of in my chest here in order to be sitting in the middle. But I still have a decent amount of headroom here in the middle, and because the Ram 1500 is so wide, it's very easy to fit 3 adults across the back bench seat. If I slide all the way over to the right, this front seat was adjusted for a 6'5" passenger in the car, and I still have about 6 inches of legroom left behind that seat. There are a lot of cup holders going on back here. We have 2 cup holders right here in the floor, and we also have 2 cup holders in this center armrest. If we flip these rear seats up, you'll find additional storage right under this little lid right here. Happen to have a cable modem in there for some reason. And you can also flip and fold this load floor area to create a flat load floor with the bottom of the seat. It is a little bit different than other pickup trucks on the market, most notably the GM pickup trucks, which have a standard flat load floor because they don't have this optional cargo area right here as standard. You can get one available in that Silverado and the GMC version, but it's not standard. Over here in our particular model, we have the optional subwoofer hiding in this storage bin, so if you didn't have the subwoofer, you'd have a little bit of extra storage there. This side folds out just like that other side. Let's take a look around the interior. Since we are in the Laramie edition, we do have these leather seats, and they are heated and cooled in our model. That's why they have the perforated seat bottom as well as the seat back. Because we're not in the Laramie Longhorn edition, we don't have leather doors over here, so these are just injection molded plastics with faux stitching right along the front there. Moving along to the dashboard, we have a very attractive brown interior. I do have a thing for brown interiors, so that is one thing to keep in mind. Again, injection molded with the faux stitching up here. We do get hard plastics down lower in the dashboard. We have a dual glove box arrangement going on in the Ram 1500 with a small glove box there and a slightly larger one below. Moving over to the center, you can see up there at the top of the screen the optional center channel speaker if you get the Alpine sound system. We have a little storage cubby right here, surrounded by fake wood in our Laramie model. If we had the Laramie Longhorn edition, this would be real. 8.4-inch Uconnect touchscreen, which we'll go over in a little bit. Moving down below that, we have a dual-zone climate control system, and we have this Jaguar-esque shift knob. The reason we have this instead of a console shifter is because there is still a 6-passenger bench seat option in the front. I think this is a little bit more attractive than a column shifter, but a little bit less intuitive to use. Below the climate control buttons, we have our $230 optional trailer brake controller. Definitely something that I would buy if I were you. We have the optional $1,600 air suspension system. This not only load levels, but it also raises and lowers the truck, just like the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Heated seats, cooled seats, tow haul button, heated steering wheel, parking sensors, front and rear. And this little blank right here is used for the optional exhaust brake in the Ram 2500 and 3500 series, something that you don't find on the 1500 diesel. Moving over to the right, we have another little storage cubby, and then we have an optional 115-volt power adapter right there. In the center console, you'll find a reasonable amount of storage room. We have this cubby right there, fairly deep storage compartment right there with a 12-volt power adapter, 2 large cup holders, and then we have this enormous center console bin, money holder, decent amount of room in here. You can fit a tablet computer inside this area. Over here is where you'll find your Uconnect inputs, auxiliary input, 1 USB, secure digital card, and then we have a USB charge only port right there. If we close this lid and open the next session, you'll find a fairly deep cargo area right there in the center console. Our 1500 is equipped with keyless go, so we have a start button right over there. We still have radio controls on the back of the steering wheel, as you can see. Then on the front of the steering wheel, we have gear change buttons. These are more gear suggestions to this car because they aren't a manual mode. Cruise control buttons right over here. And then on this side, we have our voice recognition button, phone button, and then these 4 buttons control that large 7-inch gauge cluster right there between the dials. This steering wheel is a thick-rimmed, leather-wrapped steering wheel. You can get a half-wood steering wheel in the Laramie Longhorn edition. It is a very attractive steering wheel for a pickup truck. It's also heated, available in our particular vehicle. Automatic headlamps over here. Then moving down, you'll find, strangely enough, the same set of window controls that you'll find in a Mercedes E-Class with the same power folding mirror button. Let's take a look at this gauge cluster now. Over here we have our diesel exhaust fluid, tachometer, engine temperature, engine oil pressure, speedometer, and then of course our fuel level over there. But the big thing is right here in the center, and it's this 7-inch multi-information display. We have fuel economy, we have trip computers. As you can see, we've been averaging 24 to 25 miles per gallon in this Ram 1500. That's in a decent amount of towing, stop-and-go traffic, highway traffic, mountain driving, etc. We have a trailer information screen there for the integrated trailer brake controller. We have audio information, system messages. There are none right there to show. We can change some options right there on the screen. We can get a digital speedometer. In this screen, we can get a decent amount of vehicle information from oil life to battery voltage, gauge summary, engine idle hours. We can also get tire pressure and then information on the air suspension settings in our vehicle. The Ram 1500, like most pickup trucks, scores 10 out of 10 points in our exclusive Truck Comfort Index, but we do get a few bonus points for this optional $1,900 RamBox cargo system. This helps you use what would otherwise be mostly wasted space in a traditional pickup truck right here on either side of the bed. They are fairly deep and they do have drain plugs, so you can use them as coolers. We also have a little switch over here to turn on the lights inside this cargo area and a little escape handle should a toddler get stuck in there. These lock centrally with the vehicle's locking system, but they do cause the truck bed to become a little bit smaller than a traditional Ram 1500 pickup truck. It is still about 4 feet 2 inches between one side of the cargo bed and the other, so you can still fit 4x8 sheets of whatever inside the truck with these Ram boxes. Even though the diesel's 240 horsepower are trying to motivate about 6,000 pounds of truck, performance is better than you might think. We scored 0 to 60 in 7.75 seconds, and that's in one of the heaviest versions of the EcoDiesel 1500 that you can get. We do have the optional $1,600 air suspension in this Ram 1500, which does increase the vehicle weight. That air suspension does give you the best ride in the segment, however, allowing the Ram 1500 to soak up road imperfections better than any of the other pickup trucks currently out on the market. In fact, overall, the road manners of the Ram 1500 can be described as very SUV-like. I wouldn't go as far as car-like, but this Ram 1500 definitely rides like a modern body-on-frame SUV. If you were worried that this engine would be just a little bit too quiet, then fear not, Chrysler has piped just the right amount of engine noise into the cabin for a pickup truck. This cabin is, however, very quiet overall, ranking at 67 decibels, making this the quietest half-ton pickup truck that we've ever tested. In terms of ride and handling, the Ram 1500 does very well in this segment. I would call this the best handling as well as the best feeling pickup truck available right now in America, but that's by a very small margin. Most of these pickup trucks are all very similar out on the road, so it's not necessarily saying too much. The steering is still pretty numb and pretty vague, but you need to expect that out of any pickup truck. Now it's time to talk about the eco portion of this 3-liter EcoDiesel engine. We've been averaging, I kid you not, 24.5 miles per gallon over about 600 miles of very mixed driving. It's important to keep in mind that this is the heaviest version of the EcoDiesel 1500 pickup truck because we have the air suspension, the Ram boxes, the tonneau cover, some cargo dividers, all those other options put together, and we've still been getting 24.5 miles per gallon, making this the best fuel economy you can get in a 1500 series pickup truck. But that's not all. In a one-way daily commute on my way to the office, again climbing up and over a 2,200-foot mountain pass, I averaged 31 miles per gallon in moderate traffic, going an average of about 50 miles an hour, again because it was moderate slow and go traffic, not stop and go, slow and go. So it is a very impressive number for a vehicle that's this heavy as well as this large. And now it's time to talk about the other half of this equation, and that's towing. For me, an 8-speed automatic and 410 pound-feet of torque are good for only one thing, and that's towing. So let's connect this 7,000-pound trailer and go climb some hills. This 3-liter turbo diesel engine is a great engine to tow with, not just because it produces better power figures than the first Cummins diesel engine that Ram started using way back when they started their hookup with Cummins, but also because it's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission that has twice the number of gears as that first generation Cummins turbo diesel Ram pickup truck. We also have that height adjustable air suspension system, which allows you to have a high tongue weight and still retain your rear suspension in the middle of its travel. That really helps improve road manners of the vehicle when you have a trailer with a heavy tongue weight or when you have a trailer and a decent amount of weight in the bed. Of course, I wouldn't advise anybody overloading the trailering or tongue weight numbers for their pickup truck, but an air suspension makes it an awful lot easier when you do, and I know we all do. Having 8 speeds to work through really makes climbing hills in this diesel engine with a trailer attached a breeze. Trailer's fairly heavy. Again, you can't tow more than 10,000 pounds without a commercial driver's license in most states anyway, so 9,200 pound trailering capacity is adequate for the vast majority of people, and of course I'm sure you'll put an extra 800 pounds in there and get it up to 10,000 pounds anyway. You're really not going to cause a problem, although you didn't hear that from me. But having all these gears in this transmission really makes this a great towing companion. The same thing can be said of the 3.6 liter V6, however. Had a great time in that towing with the Grand Cherokee and the same 8-speed automatic transmission, as well as in a Tradesman with that 3.6 liter V6. It is a great engine, but this is that much better. If you're buying your half-ton pickup truck primarily for towing, then you need to give this a serious look, even before you consider something like a Chevy Silverado with their 6.2 liter V8. Even though GM's new V8 engine in that truck gives you higher payload and higher towing capacities than this pickup truck and a bit more torque than this diesel engine, this is still the better vehicle to tow with. That's primarily because we have 2 extra gears in this vehicle, but also the broad torque curve of the diesel engine really helps things out. GM's V8 engine and their 6-speed automatic transmission is just not the greatest combination. The shifts are a little bit rough and the gear ratios are not as advantageous as they are in this ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. Climbing up these winding mountain roads, this vehicle has absolutely no trouble staying in 5th or 6th or sometimes even 7th gear with this heavy trailer attached, and that's something that you really can't say of the V6 engine or the V8 that's available in this Ram 1500. While I'm making recommendations, this $230 integrated trailer brake controller is worth every penny. If you do a lot of trailering, then you'll know that those aftermarket trailer brake controllers, not only are they ugly, but they're also kind of a pain to get adjusted right. This one seems to work very well. It has a variable gain. It of course works with the vehicle's integrated brake system, so it knows how hard you're pushing on the pedal. It's well integrated in the car, looks a lot better. 230 bucks. It's not that much more expensive than a good proportional brake controller anyway. Pricing for the EcoDiesel model of the Ram starts at $27,295 for the base Tradesman model, which seems like a pretty good deal. Our model as tested right here, which is just the standard Laramie model, $51,540 as equipped right here. Tops out at $56,000 for that top-end Laramie Longhorn edition with all of the options. Because this is the only half-ton pickup truck sold in America with a diesel engine in it, it's difficult to draw direct comparisons with anything else out there on the market. One thing that I would like to point out, however, is that General Motors has recently increased the price of their 2014 pickup trucks by $2,000 across the board. That means that this is now only about $2,000 more expensive than a GM pickup truck with their V6 engine, and about the same price as a GM pickup truck with their 5.3 liter V8. And in that light, this EcoDiesel makes an incredible buying proposition, because I would much rather have this than even the 5.7 liter Hemi or GM's new 6.2 liter V8 engine. And I would definitely have this before I had anybody's V6 gasoline engine, and at a $2,000 premium over that other truck, it does make a decent amount of sense. Even inside the Ram lineup, however, this makes a decent amount of sense versus the 5.7 liter Hemi, because this will save you about $650 a year in fuel, meaning that your payoff time versus that V8 engine is about 4.5 years. More than just the dollars and cents of it, however, the EcoDiesel engine makes the Ram 1500 more drivable across a wide variety of situations, from regular driving to towing to carrying heavy payloads. That's thanks not only to that diesel engine, but also the 8-speed automatic transmission. This is an awful lot easier to drive than GM's 5.3 liter V8. It's much smoother out on the highway. It definitely feels like it can pull better when you're towing as well. It's much better than Chrysler's own 3.6 liter gasoline V6 engine, although honestly, versus that 3.6 liter V6 engine, you're really not going to save much money in the EcoDiesel. So if you're looking at this as far as saving money goes, then that 3.6 liter V6 engine with the 8-speed automatic is probably going to be the truck choice for you if you just want the cheapest truck. However, if you do regular amounts of towing or heavy payloads or anything along those lines, then this is a much better option than the 5.7 liter V8. My bottom line is that if I were in the market for a pickup truck today, I would probably buy the Ram 1500 EcoDiesel, probably the Tradesman variety, because that $27,000 price tag is very attractive. The hauling capability of this vehicle, the way that it drives out on the road, and more importantly for me, the way that it drives with a trailer attached is absolutely incredible. Be sure and click that subscribe banner at the bottom of your screen so you can be updated on all of our latest videos, and we'll see you next week.